Good morning. Happy 4th of July. I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe and Savannah today. And we begin this morning with that major victory for President Trump and his agenda. The president's massive tax cut and spending bill is now on its way to his desk to be signed into law today. That legislation was narrowly passed on Thursday in time for that self-imposed July 4th deadline. But the bill's passage was far from smooth. Several Republican holdouts had to be persuaded to support it. In the end, though, two GOP lawmakers still voted against that bill. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles brings us the latest.
A major victory for the Donald Trump agenda.
The motion is adopted.
The House passing his multi-trillion-dollar sprawling spending bill designed to fund a wide range of campaign promises, including extending tax cuts passed in his first administration, new military spending, and money to fund a mass deportation plan, paying for it in part with steep cuts to food aid benefits, clean energy funding, and Medicaid. President Trump celebrating the win before flying to a victory rally in Iowa.
This is a great bill. This is going to be a great bill for the country.
The bill passed largely on party lines, with only two Republicans voting against it. One of those, Pennsylvania Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, who dodged NBC News' questions.
Why did you vote no?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Why did you vote no?
House conservatives balked at the changes made in the Senate, holding back their votes for hours, before they finally relented without a single thing in the bill changing. House Speaker Mike Johnson.
You think they caved?
No, I don't think they caved. Look, I think every member made a thoughtful and informed decision.
President Trump working the phones until the early morning hours. The holdouts say they got what they wanted.
Are you concerned that in the future, though, people won't believe that you guys are going to be a no on big issues?
No, I
like
think
this?
they know we better be ready they better be ready to deal.
Democrats did everything they could to delay final passage. Their leader, Hakeem Jeffries, setting a record by holding the floor for more than 8 hours, attacking the bill's overhaul of social safety net programs like Medicaid and SNAP, which could lead to millions of Americans losing access to coverage.
We were a hell no last week, a hell no this week, a hell no yesterday, a hell no today.
But Republicans argue Medicaid is in need of reform, and the bill is filled with the president's priorities, like eliminating taxes on tips and overtime. Republicans taking a victory lap following the vote. All Smiles is one of the signature songs from the Trump campaign rallies played in the room.
That bill signing ceremony set for the 4th of July. It could include the possibility of a B-2 bomber flyover and fireworks. All this as the president works to sell this package to the country.
Ryan Nobles, thanks. And let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor for more on this. Yamiche, good morning to you. So this massive bill passed yesterday. There was zero Democratic support. President Trump doing a victory lap in Iowa last night. What's he saying about this?
Well, good morning, Steve. This really is President Trump wanting to really praise and celebrate this signature achievement. This is the biggest policy win that he's having in his political career. And this is going to be one of the signature legislations that his second term is going to be known for. And the president, as you said, is really wanting to praise this. He has a signing ceremony later today at the White House. But as you said, he's been talking about it a lot. Here's him last night.
I think when you go over the bill, it was very easy to get him to a yes. You know, we went over that bill. And point after point, biggest tax cut in history, great for security, great on the southern border. Immigration is covered. We covered just about everything. Again, it's the biggest bill ever signed of its kind.
Now, the issue here will be sort of what will be the political fallout of this. We know that the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has said that this bill is going to lead to nearly 12 million people losing their health care coverage. That same office also said that it's going to add trillions, about $3 trillion to the national debt. Democrats say that they are ready to use this to campaign against Republicans in the midterms. That being said, Republicans feel like they are on strong ground. There's a number of really campaign promises that are being fulfilled in this bill, including no taxes on tips and overtime pay, as well as also cuts to electric vehicles and clean energy in order to fund things like more border security. So it's definitely going to be a political football as well, Steve.
Yeah, and we've heard many Republicans dismiss the Congressional Budget Office estimates there as well, Yamiche. And while we have you, I wanted to ask about the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The judge in this case now directing both sides to stop publicly commenting about the case. Abrego Garcia is the man who was mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador. His defense attorneys argue the government was depriving him of a right to a fair trial. What's the latest on this?
Yeah, this is really interesting because, of course, the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia has captured national attention. As you said, he was the Maryland man who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. He was eventually brought back to the United States, but then he was indicted, and now he's facing charges, including human trafficking and other things that the Trump administration is saying that he was doing. And now lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia are essentially saying that the government, the Trump administration, is trying to convict him in the court of public opinion, and that as a result, he wants both sides, especially the government, to stop talking about this case. The judge has sided with the lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. But the interesting thing is going to be what the scope of this is going to be, because from my reading, the lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia were asking for the Justice Department and the Department of Homeland Security to stop talking about him. But there's also, of course, a number of political figures that have been talking about him. The president has been talking about him. The president of El Salvador has been lashing out at him and criticizing him and accusing him of breaking all sorts of laws. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this judge's order actually has an impact on the political discourse around this case, Steve.
Yeah, more to come there. And Yamiche, the first detainees have now arrived at that new immigration detention center in Florida that's being called the Alligator Alcatraz. Some lawmakers say they've been denied access to that facility. What more do we know about that?
That's right. A group of Democratic lawmakers were trying to get into this facility that is known as Alligator Alcatraz. It is this facility that is, of course, right in the middle of the Everglades. It's kind of a tent city on an airstrip. And there are a lot of human rights concerns, and Democrats are worried that the conditions are inhumane. There's also real concern about the environmental impacts because this is, again, in the middle of the Everglades. But those lawmakers were denied entry by a number of law enforcement officials. The officials that were denying them entry said that it had to do with safety concerns. Now, at some point, those lawmakers may be allowed back in the facility. We know that the president, as well as a number of reporters and the governor of Florida, as well as the secretary of Homeland Security, that they had a sort of tour of this facility. And they were talking about things like, look at the fact that there is AC in these tents, but they were also saying that if people try to escape, that they're essentially going to be chased by alligators. So there's a lot of concern about the conditions now that you have migrants actually arriving there. There's about 3,000 to 5,000 beds to house migrants there. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not these lawmakers at some point gain entry, because, as I said, they are very concerned about the conditions there, Steve.
Yeah, definitely more to follow for that one, Yamiche. We know you'll be on it. Thank you so much. Well, the Supreme Court has agreed to review state laws that ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's high school and college sports. The cases come from West Virginia and Idaho and involve two transgender students who challenged state bans. The students won injunctions that allow them to continue to compete in sports, but more than half the 50 states now have transgender sports bans in place, but legal challenges have not been decisively resolved. Both cases concern whether such laws violate the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which, of course, requires that the law apply equally to everyone. Oral arguments for that will likely take place later this year, with a ruling expected by June of 2026. We're learning more details this morning about the high-profile arrest of Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Federal immigration agents detained him Wednesday outside of his Los Angeles home. As NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky explains, the renowned boxer reportedly had a, quote, active arrest warrant in Mexico.
From a boxing match watched by millions just days ago to this black and white photo released by ICE, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is in federal custody, facing multiple accusations of crimes in Mexico. The Department of Homeland Security confirming ICE agents arrested the 39-year-old Wednesday at his L.A. County home. DHS alleging the former middleweight world champion is involved in organized crime and trafficking firearms, ammunition, and explosives. Chavez's attorney calling the allegations outrageous. Prior to his Saturday fight versus Jake Paul, the L.A. resident spoke out on the ongoing ICE operations, telling the L.A. Times, "It even scared me, to tell you the truth. It is very ugly," adding, "I don't understand the situation. Why so much violence?"
Now that Chavez Jr. is in federal custody, what legal recourse does he have? It's very difficult. He's subject to expedite removal because he has not been here for 2 years, but he's also married to a United States citizen.
DHS saying that citizen is also accused of having connections to the Sinaloa cartel through a prior relationship with a now dead son of the cartel leader, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. The son of a boxing champion, Chavez Jr. was born in the Mexican state of Sinaloa, rising through the ranks before making his pro debut in 2002.
The Department of Homeland Security tells NBC News Chavez Jr. is being processed for expedited removal out of the United States. Meanwhile, Americans across the country will be celebrating the 4th of July today, but for many travelers, getting to those celebrations has not been easy, and that's thanks to several days of storms, including another round of severe weather overnight that delayed flights and caused damage in parts of the Northeast. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now from the Brooklyn Bridge, where he's also got a prime viewing spot for tonight's big fireworks show. Sam, good morning.
Stephen, good morning. Look, it has been a long road, both literally and metaphorically, for so many of those folks trying to get to their destinations to take in the fireworks shows. Violent storm, Stephen, again last night, prompting ground stops and delays at all of the major New York City airports. It has been a grind all week, but we are finally here with the fireworks shows all over the country, especially punctuated by the iconic Brooklyn Bridge. That sky is going to be lit up in just a matter of hours. But, Stephen, this also comes right now as federal agencies are saying they're not tracking any specific threats, but their awareness is very high heading into the holiday.
Overnight, another dose of nasty weather pelting an already wet and weary East Coast. And now turning deadly, according to New Jersey's governor. The state pounded by heavy storms, bringing hail, rain, and powerful winds, downing trees and power lines. The city of Plainfield even declaring a state of emergency overnight, urging residents to stay inside. Just one of the storms striking the country yesterday. In the southwest, central Texas, seeing heavy rains and flooding. Waters rising on the East Coast, too. The inclement weather briefly freezing all flights at Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK airports. Americans getting creative with their travel. We met Tom and Lucas Meyer, who left Cleveland by plane, trying to get to Boston in order to drive to Maine.
And you had no intentions of going to Boston in the first place?
No intentions of going to Boston. We were hoping for a regular connecting flight to Portland this morning.
So your connecting flight canceled?
Absolutely canceled.
With nearly 62 million driving to their holiday destinations, many just trying to maintain that holiday spirit.
Got the kids, grandkids, 2 carloads. We're about to have a good time, man.
And the millions of those twisting and turning just to try to get to their destinations, keeping an eye also on security. In a joint threat assessment, federal authorities warning 4th of July events in New York and elsewhere remain, quote, attractive targets for those motivated by foreign terrorist organizations. But authorities added they're not tracking any specific or credible plots. And New York will host its iconic fireworks display tonight, drawing hundreds of thousands. With better weather finally coming to the East Coast, Americans looking forward to a calmer holiday weekend.
So, Stephen, as for that threat assessment that we just mentioned, the focus right now is on potential car rammings or copycat type of attacks, similar to what we saw in New Orleans on New Year's Day. That said, the New York Police Department is going to have a highly saturated presence here tonight, assisted by the FBI as well. As far as the show is concerned, fireworks over the bridge here, 80,000 shells tonight. That is going to be the biggest they have ever had in New York. It was 60,000 last night. This may be, as you mentioned, the prime spot to watch it all go down. Stephen, let me send it back to you.
Very nice. Can't beat it. Sam Brock, thanks so much. And let's stick with your holiday weather forecast. Meteorologist Angie Lassman has more on those important fireworks forecasts for us.
Hey there, Stephen. Happy 4th of July. A lot of outdoor plans riding on this weather forecast. So here's what we've got going on. Improved conditions across parts of the Northeast. I'll show you that here in a moment. We've got some unsettled weather that's going to kind of hang around throughout the weekend across parts of the Southeast. We're waking up this morning to a little bit of rain across the South and then out west across parts of the northern Rockies and the northern plains. We do have some additional rain. So let's start with the Northeast over the next couple of days. Honestly, a great forecast. Plenty of sunshine, summer-like temperatures. We've got those high 80s to mid 80s from Friday to Sunday, and we're going to see really comfortable conditions with some humidity on the low end for at least the start of the holiday weekend, but increasing as the weekend goes on. We move to the Midwest, where we've got a mixed bag in some spots. Chicago, you're going to deal with some rain today. We've got temperatures well into the 90s by tomorrow, and then some rain back in the forecast for Sunday. Detroit seeing a little bit of that shower activity for today, and then drying out and warming up by the time the weekend ends. We'll see a couple rounds of those kinds of showers and thunderstorms across that region. And unfortunately, Miami really going to see periods of rain throughout the weekend. We've got this area that we're watching. It's fairly disorganized off the coast, and that's just going to leave us with some of those downpours throughout the weekend. Atlanta looks pretty good. We're into those low to mid 90s with lots of sunshine throughout the holiday weekend. And out west, we're seeing great conditions as well. It'll be mild near the coast, a little hotter, of course, for the interior areas, but plenty of sunshine and summer-like temperatures across that region. If you are planning to maybe head to the Macy's 4th of July fireworks, 8 p.m. tonight, we've got great conditions, low humidity, temperatures in the upper 70s. A bigger picture look at the firework forecast across the country looks really great for most. Of course, the Midwest, the Northeast, parts of the Mid-Atlantic, great conditions, clear skies. We do have to keep an eye on those, some of those thunderstorms across parts of the northern plains, and of course the rain that stays with us for parts of the southeast, specifically Florida. But out west, we're looking at mostly clear conditions and temperatures fairly mild. Muggy, though, across parts of the south. Stephen, back to you.
All right, we've been warned. Angie, thanks.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.